My dear friend, peace be with you. I am thankful you are here, listening, seeking God's light for your journey. Before we begin, I invite you, leave a comment below. Share your thoughts and prayers so we may walk together as a family of faith. Subscribe to this channel and share this message with someone you love, someone who may be carrying a heavy burden, because the Word of God is not meant to stay hidden, but to shine into the darkness. Now listen carefully. Do not quit in the wilderness, for the wilderness is not the end. It is the place where God forms you, tests you, and prepares you for the promise that is yet to come. And today, I will tell you my story, the story of Moses, not as words on a page, but as I lived it, felt it, and endured it. You will hear how despair nearly swallowed me, how doubt whispered louder than faith, and how God never once abandoned me. And at the end of this story, I will reveal to you the secret God gave me in the silence of the desert, a secret that will keep you standing even when all hope feels lost. So, let us begin. I was not born in safety. I was born in the shadow of death. Pharaoh decreed that every Hebrew boy must be cast into the Nile. Yet God placed his hand upon me before I ever drew my first breath. My mother hid me for 3 months, her heart trembling at every cry, her ears straining for the sound of soldiers outside the door. And when she could hide me no longer, she placed me in a basket sealed with tar and pitch and set me afloat upon the river. Do you see it, my friend? From the very beginning, my life was a wilderness, a journey between death and deliverance, fear and faith, loss and God's hidden mercy. Perhaps you too were born into trouble. Perhaps you too began your life not with ease, but with pain, with rejection, with hardship you never asked for. Hear me now. The wilderness does not mean God has forsaken you. The wilderness means God is closer than you think. Pharaoh's daughter found me, lifted me from the river, and gave me a place in her palace. I grew up with riches, with learning, with power all around me, but never did I forget my people. The Hebrews, beaten and enslaved, crying out beneath the weight of their chains. Their suffering became my suffering. Their pain burned inside my heart until one day it consumed me. I saw an Egyptian strike one of my people, and in my anger I killed him. And in that moment, everything shattered. Do you understand? One choice, one mistake, and I fled into the wilderness. Gone was the palace. Gone was the life I knew. For 40 years I wandered in Midian, a stranger in a strange land, tending sheep that were not mine, carrying shame I could not erase. Maybe this is where you are now. Maybe you too feel as though life has stripped you bare. You once dreamed, you once stood tall, you once believed there was a calling on your life, but now it feels buried beneath failure, beneath regret, beneath the long silence of unanswered prayers. Yes, I know this wilderness. I know its loneliness, its confusion, its weight. But let me tell you what I discovered. The wilderness is not punishment. The wilderness is preparation. It is the place where God strips away what you cannot carry into the promise. It is where He teaches you to listen, not to the noise of Egypt, not to the applause of men, but to the still, small whisper of His voice. For 40 years, I tended sheep, and in those years, God was tending me. Every step I took on barren ground was a step toward the mountain where fire would one day blaze and His voice would thunder from the burning bush. I did not know it then. I thought my life was wasted. But my friend, no step taken in the wilderness with God is wasted. No tear, no cry, no sleepless night is unseen. He is watching, He is shaping. He is making a leader out of the broken pieces. Of your life, do you feel weak today? Do you feel like you cannot go on? I too felt weak when God appeared to me in that fire, calling me by name, Moses, Moses. I trembled and said, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Who am I that I should lead the people out of Egypt?" And he answered with words that burned brighter than the flames. "I will be with you, not you are strong enough, not you are wise enough, not you are ready, but simply this, I will be with you." Hear this truth, dear friend. It is not your strength that carries you through the wilderness. It is His presence, and His presence is enough. Perhaps you have been asking, "Lord, when will this season end? When will the breakthrough come? When will I see the promised land?" But maybe the better question is, "Lord, what are you teaching me here? What are you shaping in me in this dry place, in this hidden valley, in this lonely night?" For it was in the wilderness that I learned patience. It was in the wilderness that I learned to wait. It was in the wilderness that my pride died, and my ears opened, and my heart softened to the voice of God. Do not despise your wilderness. It is the holy ground where God is making you new. Now let me speak plainly to you. You may feel forgotten. You may feel unworthy. You may feel as though life has passed you by. But the same God who called me, a broken man hiding in the desert, is calling you even now. You are not too far gone. You are not disqualified. You are not abandoned. You were chosen. I must pause here and ask you, friend, will you hold on a little longer? Will you trust that even in your wilderness, God has not left you? Because what comes next in my story is proof that the wilderness is not the end, but the beginning of something greater than you can imagine. For when God sent me back to Egypt, I did not return as the prince I once was. I returned as the servant of the Most High, carrying a staff, carrying weakness, carrying fear, and yet carrying the authority of the great I Am. And with that authority, chains were broken, seas were parted, manna rained from heaven, and water flowed from the rock. But none of this would have been possible without the wilderness, without the breaking, without the years of silence, without the stripping away of all I thought I was. And this, my beloved, is where we must stop for today. Because in part 2 of this story, I will reveal to you how God not only leads you through the wilderness, but transforms you in it, until the very place that once felt like death becomes the ground of miracles. Do not miss it. But before we close, remember this one truth. Do not quit in the wilderness. God is closer than you think. He is shaping you, preparing you, and His promise still stands. If this message has touched your heart, leave a comment below and share your testimony. Let us encourage one another, for none of us walk this road alone. Subscribe for more stories of hope and truth, and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that their wilderness is not the end. You are loved, you are chosen, and your journey is not over. I am grateful that you returned for this second part of the journey. For if you heard the first, then you know this truth already. The wilderness is not the end. It is the beginning. And today, I will share with you how God took me, a man, broken, fearful, uncertain, and made me a vessel of His power, His compassion, and His unshakable promise. Stay with me, for at the end I will tell you the lesson that carried me even to the borders of the promised land, the lesson that will carry you through your own wilderness, until you stand in the fullness of God's purpose for your life. Let us return to that moment at the burning bush. There I stood, barefoot on holy ground, trembling as the voice of the Lord spoke my name. He called me to return to Egypt. He called me to face Pharaoh. He called me to lead my people out of bondage. And yet my heart shook with doubt. I told him, I am not eloquent. I am slow of speech, slow of tongue. I am not the one. And he answered me, who made man's mouth? Who makes him mute, or deaf, or seeing, or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall speak. Oh, the mercy of God! He does not call the strong because they are strong. He calls the weak so his strength may be seen. He calls the broken so his healing may shine. He calls the unworthy so his grace may be glorified. And so, though my knees shook, though my voice faltered, I obeyed. Friend, maybe you are standing before a task too great for you. Maybe God has asked you to forgive when your heart still bleeds. Maybe He has asked you to step forward when fear still binds your feet. Maybe He has called you to speak when your voice feels small. Hear me, you do not go alone. The great I Am goes with you. When I stood before Pharaoh, his eyes hard and his heart harder still, I did not see victory. I saw only impossibility. But God showed me again and again that He is Lord over impossibility. The Nile turned to blood. The frogs swarmed. The locusts devoured. The hail fell. The darkness covered the land. Until at last, the blood of the Lamb marked the doors of my people, and the angel of death passed over us. And in that night of deliverance, I learned a truth that would never leave me. It is not by my hand, not by my might, not by my wisdom that salvation comes. It is by the hand of the Lord, mighty and stretched out, strong to save. You see, the wilderness prepared me to trust in God's strength when mine was gone. And so, when Pharaoh's army pursued us to the edge of the Red Sea, and the people cried out in terror, I stood and declared, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And the waters parted, towering walls of sea on either side, and my people walked through on dry ground. Not because I was strong, but because I believed. Beloved friend, do you face a sea before you today? A barrier too high, too wide, too impossible to cross? Do not fear, for the same God who split the waters for Israel can split the waters before you. He makes a way where there is no way. He turns the impassable into the pathway of deliverance. But hear me carefully. The Red Sea was not the end of our wilderness. It was only the beginning. For after the shouts of victory, after the tambourines of praise, came hunger, came thirst, came long days of wandering with no clear destination. And the people grumbled, saying, Did you bring us out here to die? Oh, how heavy their words fell on me. Each complaint was a dagger, each doubt a weight on my soul. I cried out to God, What shall I do with this people? They are ready to stone me, and God answered with provision. He rained manna from heaven. He brought water from the rock. He gave meat in the wilderness. And through it all, He reminded me, it is not my task to provide, but to trust the provider. Perhaps this is your struggle too. You are trying to carry the weight of those you love. You are trying to answer questions only God can answer. You are trying to fill emptiness only He can fill. Rest, beloved. You are not the source. You are the servant. The Lord Himself is your provider, and He will not fail you. As the years stretched on, I faced not only the cries of the people, but the weariness of my own soul. I longed for the promised land, yet wandered in circles. I longed for rest, yet bore the burdens of leadership. And there were moments, yes, even in me, when anger overcame faith. When frustration drowned patience, when disobedience darkened obedience, I struck the rock when I should have spoken to it. And for that, I was told I would not enter the land flowing with milk and honey. Ah, how that pierced my heart. To lead so far, to see the promise from a distance, yet not to step into it myself. And yet, even in this, I learned a final truth, that my life, my mission, my wilderness, was never about me. It was always about Him, about His glory, about His faithfulness, about His people whom He loves with an everlasting love. And this, dear friend, is the wisdom I leave with you now. Do not measure your life by what you see today. Do not measure your worth by the outcome of this moment, for your wilderness is shaping something eternal. You may not see all the promises in your lifetime. You may not hold everything you long for, but you will know this: God is faithful, and His plan is greater than your eyes can behold. So if you feel weary, if you feel like quitting, remember me. Remember the child in the basket. Remember the fugitive in the desert. Remember the trembling man before Pharaoh. Remember the shepherd who became a prophet. And remember this: it was never Moses, it was always God, and the same. God who carried me will carry you. Do not quit in your wilderness. The wilderness is not the grave, it is the ground of becoming. It is where God breaks chains you cannot see. It is where He softens your heart, strengthens your spirit, and makes you into the vessel He can use. And one day, when you look back, you will see that every dry place was watered with His mercy. Every lonely night was lit with His presence, and every step brought you closer to His promise. So stand, beloved, lift your eyes. Do not despise the desert, for the desert is holy ground when God is with you. If this message has blessed you, leave your testimony in the comments. Tell us where you are in your journey, so others may pray for you and be encouraged. Subscribe so you may continue to walk with us through the stories of Scripture. And share this message with someone who feels like giving up, for they need to hear the words of hope, the words of life, the words of God's eternal promise. And as we part, I leave you with the same blessing the Lord spoke through me too. Israel, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Peace be with you always.